Okay, today we are going to continue with the writing section. Look at your books on page 76. Lesson 10. As usual, here we have, the objectives. The students will be able to read the advice column and answer some questions, make notes in the organizer including their own advice, write a response for an advice column, write a letter of advice. Now look at your books on page 76. Now look at the question. Have you ever lost a close friend? Why? How did you feel? Now, who can read the question?
Hi.
Yes, Adnan.
Do you like sharing things with your friends? Why or why not?
Good. Do you like sharing things with your friends? Sometimes, no. I don't
do,
like
but not personal
Others
stuff.
would say yes, but in let us say limit. In other words. Okay. Now here we are going to read, the advice column and answer the questions. Who can read the questions here quickly?
I read.
Yes, read.
Read the advice column and answer the questions. Why was Sabah sad? What happened with her friend? Why? What is the column writer's advice?
Good. Why was Sabah sad? What happened with her friend? Why? What is the column writer's advice? Okay, now let's listen. Then we will ask you questions. Let me just, share the audio. Listen, please.
Page 76. 10. Writing.
Ask Miriam. Friendship is more important. Dear Sabah, I am sorry you feel so sad about falling out with your best friend. I understand that she wanted to borrow your new bag before you had the chance to use it yourself. But, as you say, she was invited to a wedding, and she could not buy a new bag. I understand that it is difficult, maybe even unfair, to let someone else use something that you have just bought or been given. But surely, friendship is more important, even if it requires some sacrifices. So I am afraid I will agree with what you think. You should have let her borrow the bag. She would have been happy and grateful to you, and you would still be on good terms with your friend. You say you do not like sharing your things with people because they might damage them. You could have asked her to be careful with your bag. The point is, however, to put things into perspective. What is more valuable to you, your friend or your new bag? I would call and say I am sorry. I am sure she will understand, and if she has not already been to the wedding, offer her the bag. You will both be happier. I hope it all works out. Miriam.
Okay. Now look at the questions here. Who can read the question?
Yes. Read.
Yes, Dia.
What's the title? Friendship is more important.
Good. Friendship is more important. Hamza, read the second question.
Who wrote the letter of advice? Teacher Maryam.
Good. Maryam. Maryam wrote the letter of advice. Now what about the 30 questions? Yes, Nordin. Are you here, Nordin?
Yes, teacher.
Read the question, please. Who asked for the
device?
Who asked for, the advice? Sabah. Sabah, asked for the advice. Good. Okay, now here we have the questions. We are going to answer the first one. Who can read the first question and answer it? Dia.
Why was Sabah sad? She was sad because her friend borrowed her new bag.
Good. Because she had fallen out with her best friend. She had fallen out with her best friend. Yes, Adnan or Number 2. Hamza, read the second question, please.
Okay. What happened with her friend Y?
Good.
Teacher,
What happened? Read the answer. Yes. Sabah's a friend.
Sabah's friend
Yes.
asked to borrow her new bag because she had a wedding to go and could not afford to buy a new bag.
Good. Now, the last question. Yes, who can read the last question?
Can
So
I?
can I read?
Yes, Adnan.
Yeah. What's the column writer's advice? I would
Good.
call
Read.
and say I'm sorry.
Good. The column writer advice. Read the answer here.
The column writer advised Sabah to call her friend and apologize, or say she was sorry and offer to lend her a bag to her friend if she still needed it.
Good. So this about the answer to the questions. Now, do you agree with the column writer? Yeah, almost yes, we agree with her. Read the advice again. Note the first part of each paragraph. Why do you think the writer has chosen to address the issue in this manner? What is the effect? Is the letter reprimanding or friendly? How would you feel if you were Sabah? Now here we have some examples and we have some answers. Who can read the first answer? Yes, Hamza.
Can I?
Hamza, the writer has used mostly.
The writer has used mostly first and
Yes.
in some cases second person. This makes the reply a lot more personal.
Yes, what do we mean when we say first person? When he starts, I am sorry. I understand. First person. The second person, you say. Okay. Now what about the second part of the answer?
Can I?
Read the opening lines.
The opening lines of the first two paragraphs intend to show understanding and make Sabah feel that Maryam knows how she feels.
The opening lines of the first two paragraphs intend to show, that Maryam understands and make Sabah feel that Maryam knows how she feels. Good. How to write a letter advice. As usual, we have to use the greeting part, opening. Look here, some expressions which refer that you understand, the problem. And we call it what? Understanding. It means that you read, the problem and understood it carefully. Here, the reason or explanation. She has read the letter very carefully. You say you. And giving, your advice here without, patronizing her. Then the close or let us say the conclusion. So these are the way that we write a letter advice. Your letter should look like this. Dear, showing your understanding of the problem and feeling, giving your advices without sounding, reprimanding or patronizing, and, finishing the letter or the closing. Now here we have an example on page 77. Choose one of the letters in the unit to write an answer to. Read the letter again and make notes in the organizer. Include notes with our own advice. Be the advice column writer and write the answer. Exchange letters in class. Here we have an example. Letter from. Confused the friend. This is just, an example. Here let us say the series of the actions or the events. What happened first, what happened 2, 3, 4, etc. Giving your advice, I think that it was great to lend him the money, etc. These just, sentences that as examples for writing about, a letter advice. Just, have a screenshot and you can write it later. Okay. Now, look at the writing corner. Who can read? When you write a letter of advice, what should you take in
Can
your
I read?
consideration? Anwar, yes, Anwar.
Okay. When you write a letter of advice, get all the facts and refer to them, summarize them in your letter. Think about different viewpoints, sides. Do not be judgmental or
Patronizing.
patronizing. Be understanding, but do not lie. Suggest rather than tell people what to do.
Good, thank you. Okay. These are, the steps for writing a letter advice. Now, go to your books on page 78, please. 78, please. Just 1 minute to share the screen. 78 يا شباب.
In workbook?
No, in your student's book.
Okay.
Lesson 11. Form, meaning, and function. 1 minute.
Inshallah.
Look here on page. I think it is clear.
Yes, it is.
I think last time we talked about the structures, present perfect and the simple past, and I think we showed you the difference between them. Here, just as a revision in your book here, who can read the explanation about the present perfect and simple past? Yes, Adnan, read
Okay.
the first explanation.
Present perfect tense versus simple past. Use the present perfect to talk about an action that happened in the past when the exact time isn't known or important. Use the past tense when the exact time is given. Read examples.
Good. Read the examples, please.
Have they discovered life on another planet yet? Yes, they have. When did IBM introduce the first PC? It was introduced in 1981.
Good. So you realize with the present perfect, we talked about something which happened in the past, but we do not know, the exact time. For example, I have visited Mecca many times. You realize that I visited Mecca in the past, but we didn't know when. Now, while, the past tense, talking about something happened in the past, but we knew the exact time. Like, for example, I visited Mecca last week. I visited Mecca last year. So here we have what the exact time. Have they discovered life on another planet yet? There's no time here. So you have to use the present perfect. When did IBM introduce the first PC? Asking about the time. In 1981. Here we put the exact time. Okay. Here, what about the time expressions that we use with the present perfect and age? Ago. Sorry, here about the simple past and the present perfect. Who can read the time expressions?
No.
Yes, yeah.
Time
Use the simple past. Time expressions ago, for, and since.
Use the simple past tense when the exact time is given, yesterday, 2 days ago, last week, or month, or year. Use the present perfect simple tense with for to indicate the duration of the action, for 2 months, for a year, for a long time. Use the present perfect simple with since to indicate when the action began, since yesterday, since last June. Read example.
No, thank you. So here, simple past tense. We use it when the exact time is given, is mentioned, and we can use these expressions: yesterday, last week, last month, last year, last Monday, 2 days ago, in the morning, etc. We use the present perfect simple tense with for if you want to indicate the duration of the action. For 2 months, 2 years, for example, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 minutes, etc. For a long time. Present perfect simple used with since to indicate when the action began. since Monday, since yesterday, since June, since 1980, since last century, etc. Look at the examples. Who can read the examples? Yes, Hamza.
Yes. Can you
Read these
repeat?
examples about the simple past.
Okay. In 1908, a small asteroid exploded over Siberia.
Good. The second. Here.
We moved
We
to
to
Muscat
Muscat.
3 years ago.
Good. The last. She
Uh,
didn't call.
She didn't call her mother last night.
Good. So you realize here we have what? Exact time. We, let us say, mentioned, the exact time. 1908. 3 years ago. Last night. Now what about the next examples about the present perfect? Who can read?
Narrate.
Yes, Adnan.
He has worked as a scientist for many years. We have lived in Muscat since May. We haven't used our car for a long time.
Good. So here we use for, since, for, etc. So this is about, the difference between present perfect and
I have a question.
simple past. Yes.
We use for and since with present perfect simple and ago for simple past, or we
Yes.
can use both.
Yes.
Okay.
No. Ago is used just with simple past. For and since are used with the present perfect.
Okay, but they have
Okay.
different meanings.
Yes. They
Okay.
have different meanings, sure. Now look at your box on page 78. Here we have examples. We are going to write sentences about these inventions using for or since. Here we have to look at the information, then we can make sentences. Look at the first one. People have had a credit card since 1951. Or we can say for about 70 years. You can calculate it. Canned food, the early, 1800s, filmmaking, etc. Now look at number one, about the canned food. Look at the example. People have eaten canned food since the early 1800s. So here we just use what? The present perfect, using since or for. Look at the examples quickly. For example, number 5.
Teacher,
Yes.
can I go 2 minutes?
Yes, you can go. Look at number 5 here, about the electricity. Here. They have had electricity since, 1879. From that time and up to now, people have watched documentary films since 1895 and up to now, and so on. People have traveled by airplane since what? 1903. Write them quickly, or you can have a screenshot. Okay, now move to the next part of the structures. I think also we discussed it before. Expressing ability, permission, and requests. Who can read about the ability? We can use can to express ability in the present and could to express ability in the past. Who can read? Yes, Anwar. Anwar, please read.
Okay, use can to express ability in the present.
Like, I can swim, I cannot swim, I can drive, can you count to 10, etc. So here can is used what? To express ability in the present. Can you Can you speak English? Can you count to 1,000, etc.? While we use could, continue.
Okay. We use could to express ability in the past.
Good. Could people travel long distances before the aeroplane was invented? Yes, they could. For example, I could speak when I was 3 years old. So we use could here to express ability in the past, while can is used to express ability in the present. So this is about the ability using can. Now let's move to the second, permission. What should we use with permission? Ahmed Hurani, read about, permission, use may and can.
Yes, Mr. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Use may permission. Use may and can to express permission. May I
Yes.
leave early today?
Good. May I leave early today? So here just,
Yes.
asking for permission. May I use your phone? Can I have your phone, etc.? Can I have another soda? Yes, you can. No, you can't. Yes, you may. No, you may not. So this is about, the permission. We use may and can, and also we can use could, but it is not mentioned here. You may use may and can to express permission. Okay, now what about the request? Who can read about the request? Diya?
Requests use can and could to make polite requests. Could is more formal. Could you fill in this form, please? Can you help me? Could you open the window? Yes, of course. Sure. Not now, I'm busy. Certainly, sorry, I can't.
Thank you very much. Use can and could to make polite request. Could you fill in this form? Can you help me? Could you open the window? So here we have the, the responses. Yes, of course, sure, not now, I'm busy, etc. Certainly. So this is about, the request. How can we use a polite request using can and could? Now, if you look at the last point here, using, if with past perfect, and would be able or would have been able. We use if plus past perfect, had plus verb 3. The second part will be able to talk about ability and missed opportunities. Look at the examples. Who can read the first example? Adnan.
Okay. If I had studied computer science, I would be able to invent a cutting-edge robot.
Good. If I had studied computer science, I would be able to invent a cutting-edge robot. Here, talking about what? Presentability. Read the second example. If Dr. Fleming had discovered.
If Dr. Fleming had discovered penicillin sooner, doctors would have been able to save more lives during World War I.
Good. You realize here we use what? Would have been able. Talking about past ability. If Dr. Fleming had discovered penicillin, sooner, doctors would have been able to save more lives during First World War. Good. Okay. Now, look at exercise C. Complete the sentences with can, could, and may, and the verb in the parentheses. Yes, number 1. Who can try?
I can.
Yes, yeah.
Malik. Ahmed,
Yes,
Ahmed, can you help with the
me
box,
with this box, please? Good. Ahmed, can you help me with this box, please? Can you help me with this box, please? Good. Number 2. Yes, Ahmed Hurani.
Yes, Mr. Excuse me, may I open the window? Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. Good. Excuse me, may I open the window? Yes, you can. Number 3, Adnan.
We can't meet tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to the dentist.
Good. We cannot meet tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to the dentist. We can't. Here represent what, the ability. in the present. We cannot meet tomorrow. Number 4.
I can.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Sawyer, can't see you now. I'm afraid he's very busy.
Good. Cannot see you now. I'm afraid he's very busy. Good. Number 5. Anwar.
Could you swim?
Yes,
you were-
good. You're talking about what? The ability in the past. Could you swim when you were a child? No, I couldn't. Good. We cannot say, for example, can. Why? Because here we have what? Talking about the past, not now. Yes, number 6.
I can.
Answer.
Ali Sharman.
Yes, mister. Imad can't stay very long. His friends are waiting for him.
Good. Imad cannot stay very long. His friends are waiting for him. Good, thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yes.
Number 2, excuse me, may I open the window? Can I say can or may?
Yes, you can.
Both work.
Yes, you may. Yes.
Okay.
Both of them are correct. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me. May I open the window? Yes, you may. Or yes, you can. Good. Thank you. Okay. Now look at your workbook on page 55. Here, talking about, the tenses: present, past simple, past participle. Have a screenshot and do it later. Here we have an error, okay? Become, look at become. Simple past is became, past participle become, not became, okay? Just be careful with this. Here we have an error. Okay, Shabab? Not
Okay,
became.
sir.
Past participle is what? Become, not became. Keep cool. Here we have, exercise M. Have a screenshot and do it later, okay? Exercise L and M. Now, if you finished, go to your homework. I think we have a homework in Coursera. Have a screenshot, please. Okay, just 1 minute. Open your homework.